Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 298 of your favourite Formula 1 show. Yes, knowing we returns this week to discuss the Canadian Grand Prix, and actually quite a good Canadian Grand Prix. Although I say that, it feels like the Canadian Grand Prix most years not in ground effect was actually quite a good race. Of course, as always though, before we get into that, I'm joined by Mr. 183. How are we doing, sir, on this very, very warm Monday morning here in the UK?
Yeah, it's going to be extremely hot in the UK today. I'm up to the beach. One of my friends is leaving the city, so he's milking it and going to have a leaving do over the course of an entire day. But it works out for me because we'll be chilling on the beach and mostly in the sea. So yeah.
I assume in the north it's going to reach highs of 18 degrees today.
Well, it's actually something like 31 in Manchester. So there you go.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not sure we're not built for that at all. Our houses are way too hot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into that topic of conversation immediately, are we? The fact that the UK heat is different and all this, that, and the other. All I'm going to say is I'm thankful I've got aircon in my office. It's not on at the moment.
I don't have aircon around the house. I also don't have aircon in the car, so the hour and 15-minute drive
good heavens,
is going to be fun later.
Yeah, that's not enjoyable. Why have you got aircon in your car? Your car's not that old.
I know, it should really. It blows cold air, but not like air-conditioned air.
Oh, so whoever had it before you just didn't opt to... The fact that aircon wasn't standard on your car is alarming.
It's a 2009 car, and whoever bought
is it that? I thought it was more modern than that.
No, chose not to put air conditioning in it, so there you go.
I suppose 2009, it probably was... It should be...
It should have been standard by then, really. Come on, VW.
That's, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
And there's going to be 5 of us on the journey as well, so even better.
Yeah, that's not going to be fun. People aren't going to want to lift home with you, I'll tell you that for free.
No.
Let's get into the Grand Prix though, Jamie. Of course, it was yet another sprint weekend. I think we talked about this off the show, didn't we, last week? It's really odd this year, the fact that all the sprints feel like they're towards the start of the season. We've already used up half our sprint races and we're only 5 rounds in. More races this season have been sprints that haven't, which is quite a weird.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to some ordinary races, although we're at the Monaco next, so won't be so ordinary.
Is there a such thing as a normal Formula 1 Grand Prix anymore? I don't think so.
Maybe not.
Fair enough.
But yeah, sprint quali on Friday.
Yep.
Straight into it.
Yep.
I'll be honest, I didn't watch sprint quali at all.
I did.
So you could lead this bit.
I mean, it was... There was not too many big or major things going on. Fernando Alonso locked up at turn 3 and just went straight into the wall and refused to admit it was his fault.
Aren't people saying he did it deliberately because he was in Q2?
I'd love to try and even... I mean, this is Fernando Alonso. Genuinely seems more plausible than I would say for anybody else. But yeah, just locked up. I'd be impressed if he could do that in the way he did. Because he only locked up temporarily and then locked up a lot more. It wasn't quite like a Schumacher Monaco 06 or anything like that. We get to celebrate 20 years of that soon. Absolutely wonderful.
We do.
But yes, obviously he went straight off into the wall in Q1. That kind of ruined the end of the session because it basically meant that there was like 1 minute 45 left on the clock. So we had to wait around for 10 minutes, knowing full well that only like 2 people were going to get on a run anyway. And then I literally said to my partner, I said to last 2 and 2, when the red flag came out and they were like, oh, they're going to restart this session, I was like, I guarantee you, the current standings is exactly what it's going to be at the end of the session. Yeah. And that was exactly what happened.
Well, it was very cold, wasn't it? So everyone was doing 2 warm-up laps in real quali.
Yes, so yeah. And the track was, because again, it's a street circuit, the track was really ramping up.
Yeah, but it was always unlikely that anyone actually improved. But that put Gasly out, was the big shock, wasn't it, in SQ1?
Yes, yeah, Gasly out in SQ1, which was quite a big surprise as well. Obviously, Alonso squeaking through there. To be fair, it feels like Aston Martin and Cadillac, at least a 1-lap pace now, feels like they have nearly caught up to everybody else, or they're nowhere near as far back from everybody else as they tend to be in race pace.
They are still last, though.
Yes, yeah. Well,
neither driver has got through Q2 yet.
Well, Alonso made it into Q2.
Well, by virtue of crashing out.
Yeah, still made Q2. Q2 is Q2, sir. But at the end of the session...
Q2 anyway.
Well, yeah, I suppose. At the end of the session, that was George Russell that ended up on the pole ahead of Kimi Antonelli by 0.068 of a second, which, fun fact as well, Jamie, was exactly the same gap, spoiler alert, that they were separated in real qualifying. So George
Was it?
Russell took both
Interesting.
poles by 0.068 of a second. But yeah, ultimately it was basically both Mercs followed by both McLarens, followed by both Ferraris, followed by both Red Bulls. Come
Yeah.
sprint qualifying. So there was a bit of a
2026
pattern
regs.
there.
There is.
Yeah.
The car makes all the difference because the car drives itself.
Oh,
go.
absolutely. Yeah, it's actually autonomous driving at the moment. But
Might
yeah,
as well
that was
The
quite
drivers can't
insane.
make a difference in the corners because they're derating the whole time.
Well, the one that could make the difference through the corners was Hamilton in real qualifying. He was robbed of pole because the Ferrari wouldn't go into straight line mode, which is absolutely
Is that
gutting. I think he ended up 4.5 tenths off pole and lost half a second on the straights. He was quickest through all the corners, but it wouldn't go in straight line mode.
That probably means that he had more energy for the corners if he wasn't using it on the straights.
Why would you use energy in the corners?
Well, exiting corners is a good place for energy.
Yeah, but it was
so-
the fact the wing wouldn't go down. What's that got to do with anything?
Ah, yeah, that's a shame. Well, maybe if he was going faster
literally
into the
up on
corners.
George by 1/10 of a second by the end of Sector 1. And he just
he was
wouldn't go into
carrying,
straight line mode.
If he was carrying more speed into the corners, he would have gone round him slower. There you go.
Right, okay. Fair enough,
Copium
Jane.
for you.
Yeah, well, no, that's anti-copium for you. Anyway, moving on though into the sprint race. Lewis jumps Oscar straight to turn 1, so at least it wasn't immediately Noah's Ark through the first couple of corners. Hajar then would retire with an engine issue very early on, because why on earth would you make the second Red Bull reliable, just like the first one? He got disqualified in Miami qualifying as well, didn't he? Because his car was illegal, but Max's wasn't. So, great there to be Red Bull's
Don't
number
read
2
into
as
that.
always.
Yeah.
But really the spice, wasn't it, Jamie? Was Antonelli versus George, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. The battle between the two Mercedes really came alive this weekend, and it was great. I thought for the fans, especially. I think Toto Wolff is probably going grayer than he already is. But yeah, it was a great little battle in the sprint, and I thought Antonelli was a little unfortunate to talking about the Turn 1 incident. I think it was on about midway through the race when he's running outside of Russell. I don't know. This one is like in football with VAR when they check penalties. There's a threshold where it's like if the referee gives it, it won't change. If the referee doesn't give it, it also won't change. It's like right on the fence.
Yeah.
And for this incident, I think if there was an F1 equivalent of VAR, they do the exact same thing. And like,
if it wasn't teammates, they might view it differently as well.
Yeah, which is dumb. By the
I
way,
mean, the whole. I mean, let's be fair, Jamie. We knew we were going to get back onto this rant at some point, and we won't. We'll save people the details because anybody that's like a weekly listener will know exactly what we're going to say. But the fact that the wheel-to-wheel racing rules are like this anyway is apocalyptically stupid.
Yeah,
and we've moaned about this basically since day one of the show.
Yeah, pretty much. The problem is Turn 1 and 2 at Canada is actually quite narrow, and like Anthony did get it slowed down, and he was making the corner, but George Russell, in order to give Anthony space on the inside of Turn 2, he basically would have had to stop like almost fully to not take the racing line. And I don't know. Part of me is like, I can exactly see why George Russell did what he did, because all he really did was take his line. It just happens to be a left-right chicane. So, yeah, it was a really difficult one. And obviously, if you pause it at different points, Anthony looks alongside. If you look on Russell's onboard, it looks like Russell's ahead, so he can do what he wants, which is dumb. But yeah, I don't know. I think George got away with one here.
A little bit, yeah. A little. I again, it's that whole thing of the rules are so stupid. By the letter of the law, he got away with it. The fact that that's the letter of the law is so apocalyptically dumb anyway in the first place still. Which is just, as we said, the way F1's been for so long now, it's just infuriating. There's
even
no
by
point
the stupid
having wheel-to-wheel
rules.
battles.
Even with the stupid ahead of the apex rules, you can still pause a freeze frame where Anthony looks like he's alongside at the apex and therefore deserves space. So it's a hard one. I can see why Anthony was fuming anyway.
Yeah. And there were handbags on the radio after that as well, weren't there? Which is
brilliant
quite funny.
stuff. Yeah. I think he lost his head a little bit, Kimi Antonelli, in the second half
A
of the
little
race.
bit? Did you not see the send then almost immediately at turn 8?
Yeah, that wasn't so clever. He was letting his 19-year-old show a little bit, I think,
Oh,
there.
there we go. Jamie, any chance to hate on Kimi Antonelli, he's gotta get back on there.
Put it this way, if Lewis Hamilton was racing against George Russell in the same car, do you think Hamilton sends it at turn 8 like that?
I reckon he gets it stopped, is what I reckon he does. That's absolutely
Well,
what
I guess
think.
Hamilton wouldn't have been behind Russell for that long. So.
Exactly. But yeah, ultimately, like we said, that move then at turn 8 from Kimi was, I think as Martin Brundle will put it, a day late and $1 short, wasn't it? Completely locked up the front. I'm staggered he didn't do more damage to the car, because he flew through the grass, didn't he?
That's the sort of thing that took Vitaly Petrov's steering wheel off in Malaysia.
Yeah,
not
quite that bad, but yeah, absolutely the same kind of thing, wasn't it? So he lost the spot to Lando. Ultimately, yeah, McLaren, well, Lando Norris especially, just then stayed with them both for the rest of the race, and basically George used Lando to defend from Kimi towards the end. Kimi would try it on the very last lap, but ultimately wouldn't be able to go for anything. And it was actually right at the very end. One McLaren was about to get overtaken, the other one was doing some overtaking. We never saw it on the broadcast, and it annoyed me so much. We only saw it on the YouTube highlights. I assumed Oscar had got past Lewis going into the final chicane, and then Lewis had made a little error that let Leclerc through as well. Lewis and Oscar went through the final chicane side by side, kept it clean and tidy. Leclerc waited back and then was able to get Lewis on the exit as well.
Yeah, it was a brilliant move from Piastri on Hamilton.
He'd only been able to make that work because he was doing it with Hamilton, though. Anybody else would just pushed him off.
Any other driver on the grid, Piastri's going through the runoff there. But
or through the sky.
part of me thinks that like maybe Hamilton should have been a bit more forceful, but also Hamilton's from a different era, so he races properly.
Exactly.
But in the modern day, no other driver gets passed like that.
No, exactly.
Make of that what you will.
Exactly. So George took the victory. Like we said, obviously desperately needed that. Ahead of Lando, Kimi, Oscar. So it was obviously Mercedes, McLaren. Both Ferraris then in 5th and 6th. Quite a long way ahead of Verstappen, who basically just stayed all day in 7th. And then Arvid Lindblad. Hats off to him as well, picking up the final points paying spot. So he did a really good job. Qualifying for the most part was a fairly similar affair, wasn't it, Jamie? Again, George taking pole by exactly the same margin. The only real difference was Leclerc made a bit more of an error on his final run. Like I said, Hamilton got absolutely screwed over, but still ended up in P5, just behind, obviously, both Mercedes and both McLarens. And then he had both Red Bulls just ahead of Leclerc as well. But it was really on to Sunday afternoon that things got quite
a quick
spicy.
one on qualifying. The only thing that is constant this season is that Nico Hülkenberg must qualify P11.
He has to be 11th.
Every race.
Absolutely
Both
hilarious.
Sprint and Grand Prix qualifying, he qualified 11th place. But
Again,
that got us onto Sunday.
We've said this before about Audi, haven't we, this year? But we've got to respect how just a German new F1 team job they've done. They are exactly mid-table. They will say, kind of, we will fight just, outside the points, and they are locking up just outside the points every single
Yeah, the
week.
problem is they're yet to get many points. I think
Yeah.
Bortoletto's P9 in Melbourne is it so far.
Yeah, which is kind of mad, actually. The fact they
They're
haven't
really
scored
not doing that well.
But anyway, it takes us into the Grand Prix nicely. I was watching the Indy 500 beforehand, so I hadn't really seen. I literally turned over 3 minutes before the start, and most people were on dries. The McLarens, the Audis, and I believe the Cadillacs, though, all were on intermediates, which seemed brave.
Yep. And I also, similarly, I only started watching a couple minutes before the start, so I hadn't heard about the weather forecast or anything.
Yes.
I was assuming there was, rain on the way, and these drivers were trying to, firm it for a few laps on dry, and then skip the pit stop onto inters, which may have worked if that had been the forecast. But it was a very strange decision, given that even, obviously, we had an aborted start, 2 aborted starts, in fact. So had they started when the race should have started the first time, 5 minutes before it did start, even then it was basically bone dry.
I think they got screwed over more because of those 2 aborted starts. I think especially the McLarens, because the track was definitely wetter, and of course you then have... Because basically, obviously, what happened was after the kind of lap 2, the grid, it then rained a bit more. You do 1 lap, obviously, as a formation lap, and you clear up a lot of that standing water. or any kind of water that was down. It's not really a lot there anyway. But you kind of think then by doing an extra 2 formation laps, you get rid of a lot more of that water. So I think they were screwed over even more by that. I don't think it was going to change their race massively, but it might have been that both McLarens got to the lead and were able to pull out a little bit of a gap, and therefore the cars further back, they wouldn't have had to overtake as many later on. But it ultimately made no difference. Both drivers were saying by the end of the first formation lap that they'd made a terrible error, but neither of them opted to pit.
Yeah, I didn't really get that, and
I think they were kind of we're screwed over now, we may as well just go for it.
I guess the nature of the pit lane in Canada is only, 14 seconds of loss, probably?
I think the shortest delta on the season, isn't it, still?
Because you skip the final chicane and the first chicane. So I think you're probably better off time-wise to do a lap and then pit, because if you start from the pit lane, you're literally last. So by the end of lap 1, you're going to be 20 seconds off the race lead. If you start and then pit, you're probably going to be about 14 seconds off the race lead. So the other thing is, like back in league racing days, obviously doing a lap on inters means that you don't have to use both sets of dry compounds. So part of me wondered if that was what they were going for, and they were just going to run the mediums for the rest of the race.
Yeah, which again doesn't really tend to work that well, especially because the pit lane's so short in Montreal. The fact you can make up that delta quite easily.
I guess, but then if the medium's the tyre of choice, doing medium must be better than doing medium hard.
Or
as long as tyre wear doesn't come into it.
Yeah.
Well, soft was dead, wasn't it? Or
no,
was it all right?
soft went like 30 laps.
Soft was all right, wasn't it?
It was absolutely fine early on.
That's why I'm not a strategist.
Let's be fair, McLaren just did peak Ferrari, is what happened. There's no other way to
They made a
describe
big
it.
error, yeah.
But they even did even more peak Ferrari for 2026 because Lando got a rocket ship launch and jumped both Mercs on lap 1. Mercedes has not led lap 1 this year.
Yeah, mad. In a GP. They did hold it in the sprint just. But
did they? I thought McLaren led. Oh no,
this sprint, they kept to 1-2.
Yes, sorry, this sprint, yeah, you are right, sorry, I apologise. But yeah, so Norris, like I said, great start for him, go down the inside of turn 1. George Russell was actually quite passive, wasn't he? So Antonelli got ahead of him as well, and I was quite shocked by this again, because I was literally, as they finally did this final start, was the last lap of the Indy 500, so I was watching that. So it was then when Norris pit, I was kind of confused that suddenly Antonelli was in the lead, and it was actually, again, last 2 and 2 that had to point out to me, that obviously Antonelli jumped off the start.
We should get her on the podcast. Sounds like she's more attentive than you are.
Probably. I would argue so at the start of the race. Maybe not as the race went on. Certainly at the start of the race. But yeah, so Oscar I think would pit literally the end of lap 1. Lando would pit the end of lap 2. And then really from there again, it was just more of Saturday. And it was just Mercedes civil war, wasn't it again? Which was great to see.
It really was. It was brilliant. And there were a few times where I just thought they were both crashing. And it was going to be Spain 2016 all over again. So,
or McLaren last year.
Yeah, that was only for 4th though, wasn't it, effectively? So,
yes, yeah.
But the first time was lap 6 when Antonelli got past down into the chicane, and then Russell kind of... I mean, it's within the rules. No, this was into the chicane. The first one.
Oh, yes, sorry, yeah.
When Russell got ahead and then just weaved across the track to take the inside line right in front of Antonelli's nose, and Antonelli locked up and had to jump the chicane. But that so easily could have been like a Ricciardo into Verstappen from Baku, where that he just loses all the downforce and takes out his teammate. But yeah, they thankfully for the race's sake didn't crash on lap 6. That'd have been a bit of a shame. And they calmed down a little bit, but Russell was obviously in the lead at that point. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen in the Red Bull just passed Lewis Hamilton because Hamilton was derating end of the pit straight, and Max kind of drove off, which I really wasn't expecting because I don't think the Red Bull was faster than the Ferrari this weekend.
It seemed to work the soft tyres a bit better. It was really odd, wasn't it? Yeah.
But because the McLarens were out of the picture, that was for 3rd place. So that I was like, oh, Max might actually get his first podium of the season here. Fantastic news. And then attention went straight back to the Mercedes again.
Yes, yeah, immediately, wasn't it? I mean, this was the thing again. There was quite, especially with the McLarens way down the order, there was quite a lot going on throughout this Grand Prix. But of course, understandably, you're just watching the battle at the front, aren't you?
Yeah. Because I think the lower points were going to be swapping around a lot. I think Ollie Behrman was in the mix with Gasly and Lawson quite a bit, but realistically, who cares when there's a a championship fight for the lead going on?
Yeah,
so
we saw the handbags yesterday. We want more handbags.
Exactly. I want more close-up of Toto Wolff pressing the tactics button. That's what I want.
Yes, yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I would say, though, this whole weekend, race direction, TV direction, was absolutely woeful. Like, worse than normal.
I thought they were going to miss a... right at the end, I thought they were going to miss a Hamilton-Verstappen pass because they were filming some pit wall people.
Yes, yeah.
And thankfully, for their sake, they didn't. But they cut away down the pit straight when it was like 0.3. It's like,
yes.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
just
bizarre,
show us the
wasn't
cars.
it? Well, the big one as well was early on after Piastri decided he just fancied crashing into Alex Albon to try and make himself feel better. Admittedly, we saw that replay once, but it was covered over by a glitched graphic, so we couldn't see anything.
Great.
We then didn't see it again until gone lap 60. We were literally waited 50 laps to see the incident for the first time.
And it caused the penalty, so it actually had some sort of effect on the race.
Yes, yeah.
And it was a really bad error. I think Oscar Piastri had a terrible Grand Prix.
Both McLarens had an absolute stinker, didn't they?
They did, but I don't really blame Norris for his, because at least, obviously later on he retired with mechanical, but he actually drove quite well. He was on for a couple of points despite starting on Inters. Piastri just never got it together and then just destroyed Alex Albon at the hairpin. It was terrible. It was like if you were playing F1 sprint mode and you were trying to take someone out, that's what you would do.
I don't think it wasn't quite F1 sprint mode, but it was definitely that optimistic last lap move where you're only focused on the car in front rather than the two cars in front. Let's be fair, Jamie, we've all done it at some point.
Yeah.
But we're
I'm
also not paying
millions
driver. Of dollars a year, exactly. Yeah, we're allowed to. I guess it's kind of my job, but not yours. So,
and when you make a mistake, you can just use a flashback like you do in your career mode. So
I don't use flashbacks in my career mode, sir. Send your VODs if you want.
I haven't watched a career mode of yours in about 6 years. So
are you watching anybody's career mode just out of interest?
No.
There you go. But yeah, obviously we got to see. Well, finally later on in the Grand Prix, we got to see Oscar Piastri just decide he fancies crashed into Alex Albon. But the Mercs would continue at it again. And a couple of really scary moments, wasn't it? It was down again at the final chicane. Well, actually, before that, you had George Russell a few times locked up at the hairpin, didn't he? And that kind of allowed Kimi to go through, and then Kimi would lock up at the hairpin instead. It was proper Bahrain 2014 Mercedes pulling away from everybody else, but they're both having lockups here, there, and everywhere. But lap 24 was kind of the absolute boiling point, wasn't it? Because just like Lewis and Oscar the day before, they tried to go side by side into the final chicane. Unlike Lewis and Oscar, didn't really work for either of them.
No, and, well, this is what Hamilton should have done, really. If he's ahead at the apex, just barge the other one off the track.
I don't think he was.
Well, mate, I haven't closely analysed this one, but I think going around the outside of the chicane on your teammate for the race lead, you're always going to be optimistic to get enough space. But yeah, I can exactly see why Anthony had to give that place back. He obviously jumped the chicane.
But to be fair, George didn't keep it inside track limits either.
Did he not?
No,
I didn't notice that.
I think genuinely, it hasn't obviously been confirmed or anything, but I wonder, because he literally bobbled over the curb awfully. I wonder whether that caused damage on the car. That maybe...
Possibly. Conspiracy.
Because he properly went in the air as well. It was a proper kind of... But it was the kind of one that you think just, especially with how ridiculously flimsy some of the electrical lube and stuff like that is on a Formula 1 car. Whether that could rattle it around. Exactly. I'm not saying it was the direct cause, but I'm saying it could have done something.
If Russell jumped chicane as well, I'm of the opinion that Anthony should have held that place then. Because if neither made the corner... Actually, I don't know. Maybe. It's a hard one, isn't it?
F1 racing rules this year. Absolute stinker.
Yeah. The FIA didn't clamp down on teenage Max Verstappen, and now we've ended up with this mess of racing.
10 years ago, and this is exactly what we're left with, which is a huge shame.
But the upshot was they gave the place back. Russell retook the lead.
Yep.
Anthony was not happy again.
No. And then he was really happy.
He was 6 laps later, and George Russell is out of the race with a mechanical, and it sounded a bit hydraulic-y, or something bad with the mechanics of the car anyway. It was an old
Technical
school
analysis there. It sounded like something bad from the car.
Well, it wasn't a software issue, was it?
No.
It was definitely hardware going on, and as Martin Brundle would say, it sounded like a bag of spanners in the back of the car. So, yeah, it was good news for Kimi Antonelli. Bad news for everyone watching the race, because this was basically all we had. And lap 30. The race felt super long, because we're still like just over a third distance during Norrie's Mercedes battling. And then as soon as Russell's out the race, it's like, oh, what do we watch now?
I mean, there was still quite a lot going on further back.
It was okay, wasn't it?
It definitely was the first third was the most dramatic.
The shots of George Russell getting out the car, by the way, are 1,000,000% in the postseason montage.
Yes. Temper tantrum 101 with George Russell.
Exactly. And this is George, who remained calm in Abu Dhabi and claimed Max Verstappen is the one who lashes out with unnecessary anger all the time. So, yeah. And then he threw his headrest halfway down the straight. What a guy.
Absolute baller. Absolute baller. I mean, for George Russell, though, like we said, this was the weekend he needed to win. And that has been a stinker for him.
And to be fair to him, I think he probably would have done.
Yeah.
I know it was a long way to go.
I think that would probably be a fair assessment. I mean, like we said, though, we did get a few other bits and pieces. Isaac Hadjar, after a disappointing race in Miami, I think we were all kind of worried this was going to be back to Red Bull number 2. Did a pretty good job this weekend. Was very close to Max, especially over one lap pace. He did then do the proper Red Bull number 2 and picks up a wildly unnecessary... Well, actually picked up 2 unnecessary penalties, didn't he?
Yeah.
But ultimately, well, first of all, he tried to kill Leclerc by moving on him at 200 miles an hour down the back straight.
That was a terrible.
Which immediately slam dunk 10-second penalty. Pretty simple there.
That was shocking as well. Like,
what was the second? Because he got a stop go as well, but I couldn't work out what it was for.
I think it was VSC infringement or something.
Okay. Are you not allowed, because he served the pen under VSC, didn't he?
No, you can do that, which is dumb.
I did wonder whether that was what.
Piastri did the same thing, and he was fine, wasn't he?
Yeah, I suppose. I love the fact as well, under that VSC, Leclerc decided to spin. Yeah,
weird one.
Literally, again, because last 2-2 is a big Leclerc fan. As I said on Saturday in the predictions, I was like, Leclerc's going to get pole. We saw a proper Leclerc low point last weekend. I was like, we're going to see a proper Leclerc high point this weekend. Didn't happen. We did get another proper Charles Leclerc, what are you doing moment, though. Where you'll go 6 races, you're like, how is this guy not a 5-time world champion? And then 3 races where you go, how has this guy kept his seat? He's not actually at risk of losing his seat or anything like that. But it is just funny, the fact Leclerc always seems to have these weird and wonderful moments by himself.
Well, I didn't point it out at the time because I didn't know the stat, but did you know that Charles Leclerc has the worst head-to-head of anyone at Canada on the grid?
Does he? I did not know that.
And you put him on pole.
Fair enough. Again, that's the kind of thing Leclerc would do, though.
It's true. What was the track last year, or was it 2 years ago now, where it was his absolute worst always, and he just stuck it on pole position?
Hungary?
Remember. Maybe it was Hungary 2 years ago.
I know he got pole at Hungary last year, didn't he?
Oh, it could have been that then, yeah, because Hungary is also not a great track, but pole position anyway, who cares?
Exactly.
And then all we really had to watch at the end of the race was this actually quite fun battle between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
Yes.
So, yeah, unfortunately, we were talking pre-show, I find stuff like this a lot more interesting when it's for something significant, in terms of if it's for a win or if it's for a podium. Great, but the fact it was between second or third, so it doesn't really matter who finishes second or third. They're both on the podium. Neither are going to win the championship this year, so the 3-point difference.
Hang on a minute, if Merck
really
keep taking each other out, Lewis could get there.
They haven't taken each other out once yet.
Well, yeah, but they tried to.
They did. They tried very hard. But yeah, it was a fun battle. It was at one point I think 6 seconds, and then the Ferrari's pace on the
gap was bigger than that, because I noticed as well, Max actually gained a lot through one of the VSCs, rather oddly.
No, I can get on my...
No, I know exactly what you're going to say, but the gap, I think Lewis messed up on the restart because he lost like a second and a half out of nowhere.
Maybe he did. But yeah, the VSC is like a false timing, because say there's 100 metres between two cars.
Yeah, it's not 100 metres.
When you slow them down.
I
the 100 metres stays the same. but the time that it takes a car to do 100
No,
meters
that's my
goes
point.
longer.
100 meters takes longer. It's obviously 100 meters takes
yeah.
longer when you're driving slower. My point, of course, the other big thing with VSC is that sometimes you don't talk about enough because it's not a fixed speed around the entire lap. It can actually screw different drivers over depending on exactly when the VSC is called.
It can, and if it comes like at the start of a straight, when it ends, you effectively then lose time all the way down that straight because you didn't exit the corner well enough.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So regardless, it was fluctuating. Hamilton also lost a second behind Bortoleto one lap.
Yes.
Lapping him. I think Antonelli also lost 3 seconds to when he was trying to overtake Bottas at one point. Yeah, it was the lap cars were not doing a great job, but they lapped everyone up to 7th, I think. So short track.
I thought they lapped Colapinto as
Maybe
well.
they
Oh, no,
lapped
Colapinto,
Colapinto.
I think. Yeah, they lapped Colapinto, didn't they? It was literally the top 5. No, Hadjar got lapped in the end, didn't he? Or did he just hang on?
I'm gonna check this.
Yeah.
Oh, he did. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
was
the
going to
top
say, because
4 on
obviously
the
he
lead
served
lap.
all those penalties, didn't he, right at the end? Because by like lap 10,
Yeah.
there was already a 15-second gap between the big. Well, I guess it was 6 still, wasn't it? And then everybody else.
Yeah, crazy. But we're back to 2014 style field spread.
Exactly. Beautiful. But it was going to be Antonelli then that took his 4th win of the season. Hamilton did get the jump on Verstappen very, very late on in the day, which, as a Hamilton fan, of course, was absolutely incredible to see. The Dutchman finished P3 ahead of a ended up being quite a lonely Leclerc. Hadjar then, fair play, shout out to Colapinto, Jamie. P6, basically stayed P6 all day. He really just seemed to click with Montreal last weekend.
Well, he clicked with Miami as well. It's like something's changed in Colapinto in this 5-week break.
Yeah.
And he suddenly remembered he can drive.
Yeah.
And fair play to him. If he keeps this up, there's no reason he should be losing his seat at the end of the season.
No.
So
Lawson,
he's 11th in the championship now, Colapinto.
Yeah, doing a very good job. Very, very good job. Liam Lawson in P7 just held on ahead of Gasly, didn't he, right towards the end. Sainz picked up a couple of points down at Williams, and then Ollie Behrman inside the top 10 for Haas as well. Helped, of course, by the fact Lando Norris broke down very late on in the day.
He did. And another mechanical problem. So 2 Mercedes power units not enjoying the Montreal Grand Prix.
No, definitely not
the championship gap, this is interesting now because Kimi Antonelli obviously 25 points over his teammate in the Grand Prix. So that gap is 43 points now.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of points.
It's only ever been overhauled once.
And that wasn't Lewis and Nico.
No.
But
to
in
win the
2016,
title.
Yeah, I was going to say Hamilton did overturn that in 2016 and then still lost.
Yeah, to win the title. I should make that clear.
And when was that? Was that
Verstappen
last year?
22.
Oh, of course, because he had 2 DNFs to the first 3. Yeah.
Yeah, he had I think he was 44 behind Leclerc, and still went on to win the title.
Norris must have been almost that far back after Zandvoort last year.
Well, I think Max was over 100 points back last year. Almost did it, which that would have been
It puts
huge.
into perspective just how ridiculous that turnaround was for Verstappen.
Yeah. Well, it turns out how much McLaren decided to just be absolute melts in the second half of the season as well. But there we are. Both drivers and team and everything else.
But I genuinely think Anthony's got to be strong favourite now. I know there's an awful long way to go.
Oh, yeah.
But if you think, barring mechanical, which obviously there could be mechanical problems because Russell had one.
I think it's highly likely. It's
how
a
many
whole
races
new
are there
engine
this year?
22 as of now. But we might go back into 23. We could go down to like 19. Nobody knows.
So, assuming we do, 17 more races, Russell has to, assuming 1-2s as well this is, Russell needs to beat Antonelli for a 1-2. Like
11-5.
6 times? 7 times to overhaul?
Yeah.
7 extra times, then Antonelli beats him? That's a lot of times.
Yeah, that'd have to be 12-5, wouldn't it, for 17 races?
Yeah.
And so far,
I don't
he's
know.
1 in 5, sorry.
Yeah, it's currently 4-1 up to Antonelli. And given, even when Antonelli's won, Russell's only finished second once in those 4 races.
Russell hasn't been on the podium more times than he has this year now. He's had 2 podiums in 5 races.
Yeah.
Hamilton's had as many podiums as George Russell.
So is Piastri.
Yeah. Wild.
Crazy.
Absolutely wild. Would you want your quiz, Jamie? I think you're going to like this one.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, Kimi Antonelli, of course, 4th win in a row. The first driver in history to claim his maiden 4 Grand Prix victories in a row.
Yeah.
In the 21st century, though, Jamie, 10 drivers have won 3 or more Grand Prix in a row.
Okay.
Your goal... Oh, actually, I've just realised I put someone down that I'm not entirely sure, so I'm just going to double check this.
Where'd you get these numbers from?
No, just because I was reading it off an entire list of all time. Sorry, 9 drivers, I should say.
Okay.
I read one of them there. I was like, actually, I don't think he did that in
So
the
Mika
2000s.
Hakkinen was in there.
Mika Hakkinen was on my list.
Yeah.
Brilliant. 9 drivers in the 21st century have won 3 or more races in a row. Obviously, Kimi Antonelli is one of them, so 8 drivers. If you got to try and name all of them, if you get one wrong, it's over. You should get all of these.
I should be able to get these.
You should absolutely be able to get all of these.
Okay. Sebastian Vettel.
Correct.
9 in a row.
Yes.
Nico Rosberg got 7 in a row.
Correct.
Lewis Hamilton has had 5 in this century.
Correct.
Max Verstappen obviously got the perfect 10.
Yes, correct.
Wait, since 2000? Oh, Schumacher must be in there.
Yes, correct. Which Schumacher, sorry, actually?
Michael Schumacher.
Yes, Michael Schumacher.
I think Ralph only won about 3 races, didn't he? There's no way.
Yeah, I think, he won 5 or 6, I want to say.
How many is that? 2 left. 3 more to go. Okay. 3 race wins running. Jenson Button got 4.
He certainly did.
In 2009. I want to say one that surely he did at some point, but I just can't think when. But I'm thinking like early 2006, Fernando Alonso was on one, so I'm going to go Fernando Alonso.
Fernando Alonso is absolutely correct. He won 4 races in a row, if I'm not mistaken, against Schumacher. Schumacher won. 2006 was odd because Schumacher won like 3 in a row, and then Alonso bounced back and won 4 in a row.
And also, I think Alonso won 6 out of 8 at the first 8 races, so he must have got something in there.
Yeah.
So there's only, one left?
More.
For 3 wins in a row.
3 wins in a row.
It's probably someone modern that I'm just forgetting about. Or like more recent. The driver's in my head right now, and none of these are commitment answers. Valtteri Bottas could have done it. Charles Leclerc could have done it. To be honest, I don't think Mark Webber ever did. Barrichello could have done. Raikkonen could have done. This is really difficult.
I could give you the biggest spoiler of all time, and I'm not going to. No, I'm not going to because you would probably get it.
Did I mention their name?
I'm not going to help you with that either.
Okay. 3 wins running. It's going to be something really stupid, isn't it? Like the last race of one year and the first of the next.
I'll tell you, that is not the case.
Okay, good. I think... No, you just said that's not the case. I was going to say, I think Kimi won the last 2 of 07 and the first of 08. But no, Hamilton
he
won the
did
first
not.
of 08.
Lewis, the one the first of 08.
I am going to say Kimi Raikkonen, though. That might be wrong.
Incorrect, I'm afraid.
Who is it?
It happened in the last 2 years.
Really? Wait.
Yep.
Oh, of course. Oh, my word. I've literally forgotten about the whole championship fight last year. One of them must have done. Piastri.
Oscar Piastri. What? He's one of just 2 drivers in F1 history to win 3 races. Well, currently actually 3 drivers in F1 history to win 3 races in a row and not win the world title. And not be a world champion. Can you name the other 2? Obviously, Antonelli is one of them.
Oh, not be champion at all, sorry.
Yeah, never win a championship.
I thought you meant not win the championship that year, because Hamilton's done that about 5 times.
Yeah.
To win 3 in a row and not be champion.
To win 3 Formula 1 Grand Prix in a row and never have a Formula 1 championship. Obviously,
Sterling
Oscar Piastri. Yes, Sterling Moss. Antonelli and...
banging.
Sterling Moss. Those are the only 3. Fair
That
play.
was poor.
7 out of 8. I said to you at the start of the episode, I was like, Jamie's going to forget. Yeah, I reckon you won't get one of them. That was exactly the one I didn't think you'd get.
Problem is, this is so recent history that it's just not in my memory yet.
Fair enough. It's got to like mature in your brain.
It's got to be 5 years old for it to be committed to my F1 memory bank.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, obviously won Bahrain, Jeddah, and Miami.
Saudi and Miami.
Yeah,
there
last
you go.
year. There you go. Driver of the day, J183. I feel, and it seems wild that we're even saying this, Colapinto deserves a shout. Did a very good job.
Yeah.
I think Hamilton and Verstappen both did very well.
They did. I, with my biased opinion, I'm going to give it to Max Verstappen.
Okay. I really now want to say Lewis Hamilton. Just to say, I reckon Oscar Piastri deserves it. Did a very good job.
Really?
Yeah. I you know what, Jimmy? I'm going to say, I can't believe I'm saying it. I'm going to say Franco Colapinto.
Wow.
Did a very good job. And was comfortably ahead of everybody else in the midfield.
He really was. Gasly did alright to get 8th, but Colapinto beat him, so there you go.
Yeah. Thoroughly trained.
Race rating? I just realised I didn't write down Miami, so this is all null and void anyway for the rest of the season.
Did we even do a race rate for Miami?
I'm not sure.
Well, what did we rate in Miami? I'm going to give it a solid 6.5. By Miami standards, it was incredible, but that doesn't make it a great race.
I don't even remember what happened in Miami. It was too long ago now.
It hasn't been embedded in your F1 brain. It wasn't long enough ago, that's why you can't remember.
No, true. Yeah, I'll go 6.5 as well. Don't remember anything about it, but there you go.
Wow, okay. I'm going to give Canada a 7.
7. It was good. We had a really good battle for the lead. I am maybe going to be more generous and give it... Was it the best race of the season?
What's the highest rating we've given so far?
You gave China an 8.
Yeah, but China had a lot of battles going on all day.
It did, but they weren't significant.
Hang on a minute, it was Lewis and Charles for the podium.
Yeah, but it's not the race win, is it?
Well, this race didn't have a battle for the race win later on.
I'm going to give Canada a 7.5.
Okay.
Which is my highest rating of the season. It's not yours.
Fair enough. Okay. Last but not least, then, Jamie. Predictions, sir. What are the scores on the doors?
This was ridiculous. I know already. So you were on 16. I was on 12. Obviously, 8 points available. So that's a lot.
10 points available this weekend.
10 points, sorry, available. Sprint, obviously, sprint winner. We predicted. Yeah. You said George Russell would win.
2 points.
And via much cheating, he did. So there you go. I said Kimi Antonelli. Antonelli did not win the sprint.
No, he did not.
Aware. You said Charles Leclerc would get pole position despite never beating a teammate at Canada.
Yep.
I said
he beat him in the sprint literally earlier on in the day.
Not in qualifying.
No, not in qualifying.
I said George Russell, which is 2 points for me. Thank you.
All even, Steven, so far this weekend. Talk me through your podium picks, Jamie.
What I did was I picked 2 drivers who had mechanical failures and and 2 started intermediates. So I said George Russell would win from Norris and Piastri, which actually was the top 3 on the grid, almost. So I wasn't that far away.
I genuinely reckon, and I'm not going back through the data, this might be the first time someone's picked a podium where they didn't score a single point between all 3 of them.
Genuinely.
Except for when we've done the ridiculous ones towards the end of a campaign. But even then, I would have thought someone would have scored a point.
I wonder what we said for 2021 Monza, when we probably put Verstappen and Hamilton in there.
But Bottas got a podium, didn't he?
Oh, he did, yeah. But he was starting last, I wonder. Yeah. Never mind. So yeah, none of my drivers got points. In fact, 2 of them retired. And Piastri finished
one of them just kept crashing into each other. Into other people.
So, not the best. You said Kimi Antonelli would win the race.
2 points.
You said George Russell would finish second.
That's a shame. I got the wrong Brit, but that happens.
Yep. And you said Max Verstappen would finish third, which is ridiculously lucky.
I saw the vision. Hang on, how was that ridiculously lucky? I saw the vision. Let's be fair. Had Russell not retired, I would have got him right anyway. He would have finished second.
True. So, yeah, what's that? You got overall 6 and I got 2.
Yeah, so my lead has doubled so far this season.
Yeah.
5 races in and I've already got a weekend advantage over you. A normal weekend advantage.
So that's 22 to 14. Oh,
wild.
Gosh. I'm going to need a DNF for you at some point this season.
What, for me personally?
Yeah, well, you don't show off on the podcast on one of the previews. And I can just take 3 points.
You'd still get it wrong.
Yeah, true. It relies on me getting it right, doesn't it?
Yeah. Incredible. 22 to 14. Absolutely love it. Have we got anything else to add, Mr. 183?
No. Shout out Carlos Sainz, by the way. He's having a very quiet, good season.
Yeah,
And,
Williams needed another point this weekend, or 2 points,
well,
I
2
should
points.
say. Yeah, so very, very good job done by him as well. Got the job done. That's the important bit for them at the moment. And shout out to Ollie Behrman, despite the fact they've absolutely fallen off a cliff, as we would expect to see from
P10 was alright, wasn't it?
P10 even was a pretty good result.
Jack Doohan was doing a lot of stuff this weekend when he's going to take Esteban Ocon's seat quite soon.
Yes, he was, wasn't he?
Ocon has Monaco next, so probably just get a podium.
He's going to get a P3 in Monaco because he's absolutely goated there.
Save his seat for the rest of the season.
Exactly. Even though that's where he lost his seat last season.
I guess it was, yeah.
So, it swings and roundabouts for Esteban Ocon. Thank you all, as always, so much for listening, though. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed. Jamie, I'm going to let you go to the beach. I'm going to go have waffles. So I'm very excited for that. And we'll be back next week, unless obviously something wild has happened, to preview the Monaco Grand Prix, episode 299. We're closing in on that big 300. Soon enough, we're going to have more podcasts than there's been F1 race starts for a certain driver.